Get ready because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you see the future of global currencies, especially the Iraqi dinar. Viewers all across the world are waking up to the news that the dinar's exchange rate may be on the verge of a major shakeup. And this isn't just another rumor floating around online. There are new developments, credible reports, and powerful signals coming straight out of Baghdad that suggest something big is brewing. So before you scroll away, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because by the end of this video, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of what's really happening behind the scenes in Iraq's financial system and how it could directly impact you. Now let's get into it. Over the past few weeks, financial insiders, market analysts, and currency watchers have been closely examining movements within Iraq's central bank, where whispers of a recalibration or even a new exchange rate structure have intensified. Many investors who have been following the Iraqi Dinar revaluation, often called the RV, know that these moments of silence and then sudden bursts of activity tend to happen right before a significant announcement. Recent leaks and regional updates suggest that Iraq's government, in collaboration with its financial sector and international partners, may be preparing the groundwork for a controlled rate adjustment, potentially signaling an upward move for the dinar against the US dollar. If this plays out as analysts predict, it could mark one of the most substantial monetary shifts we've seen in the Middle East in years. What's especially fascinating is that Iraq has been quietly restructuring key parts of its economy to prepare for this moment. Behind the headlines, the country has been working on stabilizing inflation, improving banking systems, and increasing foreign reserves, all crucial steps for supporting a stronger national currency. The Central Bank of Iraq recently released figures showing significant growth in its foreign currency reserves, surpassing previous years and giving the government more leverage to defend its exchange rate policy. Meanwhile, oil revenues, which are the lifeblood of Iraq's economy, have also been relatively strong, even amid fluctuating global prices. That combination, higher reserves and steady oil income, creates the perfect financial foundation for Iraq to take bold steps in currency reform. Market observers have noted that Iraq's leadership is more focused than ever on reducing its reliance on the US dollar for domestic trade and increasing the use of the dinar inside the country. This de-dollarization process has already started in multiple sectors, with several ministries reportedly transitioning to dinar-based transactions. The logic behind this move is simple. The more the Iraqi people and local businesses use their own currency, the stronger and more stable that currency becomes in the long run. But let's take a closer look at what's fueling the current wave of speculation. Multiple reports from reputable regional news outlets have hinted that internal discussions are taking place between Iraq's central bank officials and international financial institutions. Some of these conversations revolve around aligning Iraq's currency policy with international standards, which could eventually lead to greater global acceptance of the dinar. There's even talk among analysts that the government might be considering a dual-rate strategy, where an official exchange rate runs parallel with a market-driven rate for a short transition period. If such a model were adopted, it would allow the dinar to gradually strengthen without causing economic shock or inflation spikes. Add to this the growing momentum of Iraq's digital banking sector and the government's push to modernize payment systems, and you start to see a clearer picture, one where Iraq is actively laying the groundwork for financial independence and modernization. For years, dinar investors have waited for tangible signs of movement, and now, 2025 might finally be the year those signs materialize. Experts are cautious, but many agree that the combination of economic reforms, political stability improvements, and rising global attention makes this moment unlike any before it. This isn't just another rumor cycle. It's a coordinated effort by Iraq to position itself as a serious financial player in the international arena. The whispers about the new exchange rate are no longer confined to online forums. They're being discussed in global economic circles. The potential impact on markets could be massive, not only for currency traders but also for countries that do business with Iraq or rely on its energy exports. Whether this turns into a full-scale revaluation or a strategic rate adjustment, the implications will ripple far beyond Iraq's borders. So, if you've been following the Dinar story, now is the time to pay attention like never before. Stay tuned, because in the next part of this discussion, we'll dive deeper into what these changes could mean for investors and how you can prepare for the possible outcomes. Before moving forward, don't forget to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you want to stay ahead of every story update about the Iraqi Dinar surrounding Iraq's economic transformation is just getting started. And the deeper we look, the more clear it becomes that this isn't just talk, it's action. Over the past few months, we've seen a noticeable shift in how Iraq is approaching its monetary strategy, especially when it comes to the dinar's true value. Economic insiders are pointing to a series of moves by the central bank that suggest careful preparation for something far more significant than a routine policy adjustment. These include tighter controls on currency transfers, updated anti-money laundering systems, and stronger oversight of the exchange market. All of these steps are crucial precursors to a possible exchange rate correction, ensuring that once a new value is introduced, it can remain stable and credible in both domestic and international markets. What's even more interesting is how Iraq's leadership has become more vocal about restoring trust in the national currency. Public statements from financial officials have emphasized the need to strengthen the dinar's position, protect purchasing power, and enhance confidence among citizens. This level of transparency is rare in Iraq's economic history and might indicate that the government is preparing the population for an upcoming change. When you take into account Iraq's recent cooperation with international partners, the picture becomes even more telling. The country has been engaging with global financial institutions and foreign investors in a more open and assertive way, signaling that it wants to play by international rules and attract long-term capital. Projects funded through foreign investments, ranging from infrastructure to energy, are gradually reshaping the country's economy. This infusion of foreign confidence can act as a stabilizing force for the dinar, making any new exchange rate more sustainable. At the same time, Iraq's trade activity with neighboring countries has expanded, and new trade agreements are being negotiated that would allow for transactions in local currencies rather than relying exclusively on the US dollar. This shift toward regional cooperation not only boosts Iraq's economic independence, but also lays the groundwork for broader acceptance of the dinar in international trade. Every move seems to fit into a larger puzzle. Iraq is not just managing its currency, it's reinventing it as a tool for sovereignty and growth. Meanwhile, inside the country, financial reforms are changing how everyday Iraqis interact with money. The government has been pushing digital payment systems, encouraging citizens to move away from cash-based transactions and toward modern banking solutions. This modernization effort might seem unrelated at first glance, but it's actually one of the most critical steps in strengthening the currency system. A digital economy is easier to monitor, more efficient to regulate, and less vulnerable to corruption and black market activity, all of which support a stable and potentially stronger exchange rate. On top of that, Iraq's efforts to improve its credit rating and attract international lenders show that the nation is seeking credibility not just regionally but globally. These are not the moves of a country standing still, they're the moves of a nation gearing up for transformation. And every piece of data, from the steady growth in foreign reserves to the reforms in the energy sector, points toward Iraq, preparing for a moment when the value of its currency will better reflect its real economic potential. Now, while many are eager to label this as the long-awaited revaluation, or RV, experts are quick to remind everyone that financial evolution doesn't happen overnight. However, the patterns we're seeing in Iraq are almost textbook examples of how a country positions itself before a significant currency event. You can sense the cautious optimism in global financial forums, where analysts debate possible exchange rate targets and timelines. Some predict a modest but meaningful adjustment, while others believe Iraq could be setting the stage for a gradual appreciation that would lift the dinar to a much stronger level over the next several years. No matter which scenario unfolds, the central theme remains the same. Iraq is building the economic structure needed for a stronger, more stable, and more respected currency. And as these developments unfold, the rest of the world is watching closely. If you're following this story, this is the perfect time to stay alert. Every policy announcement, every banking reform, and every trade update could hold clues about what comes next for the dinar. The momentum is undeniable, and history has shown that financial transformations often start quietly before making headlines across the globe. Iraq seems determined to write its own economic comeback story, and the dinar could be the symbol of that rebirth. So don't take your eyes off this situation, because the next wave of updates could change everything you thought you knew about the Iraqi dinar. Stick around, because in the final part of this video, we'll uncover what this means for global markets, investors, and everyday people watching this story unfold. And before we continue into this incredible story, it's becoming clear that what's happening with the Iraqi dinar right now could mark a historic turning point, so you not only for Iraq, but also for global financial markets of this story might be just around the corner. Economists and currency analysts are all watching closely, because the potential implications of a new exchange rate or revaluation reach far beyond the borders of Iraq itself. Imagine for a moment what would happen if Iraq successfully strengthens its currency. Foreign investment would likely surge, economic confidence would rise, and the country could become one of the most attractive emerging markets in the Middle East. This possibility isn't as far-fetched as it once seemed. Over the past year, we've seen Iraq making deliberate, strategic decisions to rebuild international trust, reduce economic corruption, and tighten its monetary policy. These aren't the moves of a government guessing its way through an economic transition. These are the steps of a nation working methodically toward long-term stability. And for those who have been following the Dinar RV conversation for years, this could finally be the moment where speculation starts transforming into something tangible and measurable. But what does all of this mean for ordinary people watching from the outside? For one, it means opportunity, both for those inside Iraq and those observing global currency shifts. If Iraq's exchange rate is adjusted upward, it would instantly increase the purchasing power of citizens, boost local confidence, and make imports more affordable, all while signaling to the world that Iraq's economy is entering a new era of strength. For investors abroad, particularly those who have held dinar for years, this could trigger renewed optimism and potentially significant financial returns, though it's crucial to remember that every investment carries risks. The key difference now is that the conversation around the dinar has matured. What used to be driven mainly by speculation is now being grounded in real economic data, numbers, reforms, policies, and international partnerships that actually support the idea of a stronger currency. The global financial community is paying attention because Iraq sits on some of the world's largest oil reserves, holds strategic importance in regional trade, and is rebuilding its infrastructure faster than many anticipated. If the dinar stabilizes and gains recognition, it could shift the balance of financial influence in the region. There's also a much bigger narrative unfolding here, one about national pride and the reclaiming of economic identity. For years, Iraq's financial system has been heavily influenced by outside forces, but now the country seems determined to take control of its own destiny. The push toward de-dollarization, the expansion of digital banking, and the strengthening of local economic institutions are all signs that Iraq wants to be self-reliant and respected on the world stage. These changes might seem technical on the surface, but beneath them lies a powerful story of recovery and independence. The people of Iraq have endured years of instability and uncertainty, and now, as their government moves toward greater financial reform, there's a renewed sense of hope. You can see it in how local businesses are adapting, how international companies are beginning to re-enter the market, and how the narrative around Iraq is shifting from crisis to potential. This transformation, if successful, could stand as one of the most remarkable economic comebacks in modern history. Of course, with such high expectations, caution is necessary. Not every headline you read about a dinar revaluation is accurate, and not every prediction will come true overnight. But the fact that these discussions are happening at the highest levels of finance and governance shows that something real is evolving. It's not about hype, it's about measurable progress. As Iraq continues implementing reforms, the pieces are falling into place for a currency that reflects genuine national value. The world's financial systems evolve slowly, but when they shift dramatically, and the Iraqi dinar could very well be one of the biggest stories of 2025 if current trends continue. Whether it's a full-scale revaluation, a controlled appreciation, or a gradual strengthening over time, the direction seems clear. Iraq is moving forward, and as we wrap up this deep dive, here's what you need to remember. This isn't just another financial rumor. It's a developing reality built on data, reform, and strategy. The Iraqi dinar story is still being written, and the next few months could be absolutely critical. So stay informed, stay skeptical of unverified claims, but don't ignore the signals either, because the tides are shifting fast. If you've made it this far, make sure to show your support by liking this video, sharing it with others who follow currency and economic news, and subscribing to the channel for more real-time updates. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss what you believe could happen next with the Iraqi dinar. Do you think 2025 is the year of the RV, or will it be the start of a gradual rise that changes everything over time? Either way, keep watching, because the secret's out, and the world is finally paying attention to Iraq's financial awakening.